Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jenna Moncton.
And I'm Tosh Taylor, and on today's show, Jenna is the guest.
Woo! Surprise!
I'm going to drill her for some serious information. If you didn't know, Jenna is the heart and soul, and she's not alone on that. There's a lot of people that are behind her helping out with the 2024, let's just keep going, but my audio's dropped out again. Jenna is, yeah.
Want to start over?
No, sure, all right.
1 o'clock's not good.
I was going to say, like, do you want me to just jump in? Do you forget what this
No.
event is called?
Yeah. I actually was reading the thing, though, even
like,
though I shouldn't have
right
to.
here.
Yeah. You're
Sounds
still
like
getting audio, though?
2024.
You're, okay, yeah.
I'll send you the phone.
Yeah, that'll be fine, thank you.
Okay.
I should have cleaned it up before I came, I guess.
It's perfect. It's
Third
just me.
time's the charm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Here we
Assuming
go.
Everything's okay.
Take 3.
Third time's the charm. Yep. Here we go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jenna Moncton.
And I'm Tosh Taylor, and on today's show, Jenna is the guest. So if you did not know this about Jenna, you are about to find out that she is one of the main hearts and souls behind the Greater Moncton Highland Games and Scottish Festival each and every year. And today we are going to be talking about the fun that she's got planned for this coming weekend.
Yes, this is the 18th annual, so it's not the 18th time I've been involved, just to be clear.
Close.
I have, it's really only the past couple of years that I've been fully involved with helping put the festival on. But the Greater Moncton Scottish Association, for anyone who doesn't know, is actually celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. So amazing.
Yeah.
That's a huge milestone. And I'm going to put the plug out there right away. We have put a challenge out, 50 members in our 50th year. We're looking for 50 new members. And I think I've got about 5 so far. So please help me out.
Make it 6. Make it 6.
It's a very low cost, $20 for an individual for the year to become a member. And really your membership just goes to support putting on events like this. This is kind of the cornerstone of what the association does in terms of events. But throughout the year, we do other Highland dance competitions. We do Robert Burns dinner, trying to get back into doing more social events every, month or so. Those are just starting to pick up. So it's a really great time to become a member and help really kind of form what's going to happen with this association over the next 50 years.
I'm pretty sure that I saw some whiskey tastings in there recently as well.
Yes, we did a fabulous whiskey tasting back in April around Tartan Day.
Right.
And it was at the Masonic Lodge, which if you haven't had the opportunity to be in there, it's an amazing spot in Moncton. And so if you are a member, we quite often get to do things there because we have some members with crossover. So, but the real focus is coming up. So yes, June 11th through the 15th is the festival. And we do call it a festival, even though it's just a little bit of a sprinkle through the week, and the big focus is on Saturday, June 15th, which is the day before Father's Day. So a great day to get out and do things with the family. I'm gonna just kind of run you through
Yeah, please
a
do.
little bit.
Yeah.
So kicks off June 11th. Don't wait till July. Come June 11th, Tuesday night, Victoria Park is our kickoff, our official opening, and a free concert for the community with Fundy Cayley playing.
Can't go wrong.
I know.
Cannot go wrong.
Incredible. We did the same thing last year. It's in partnership with the City of Moncton with their Acoustica series. We had about 300 people come through last year on that Tuesday night, and we're hoping for the same this year. Great weather, great crowd turnout, and you just come enjoy the music. You've got kids that can run around the field. It's fantastic. Wednesday night, if you haven't made it out Tuesday, or you can make it to both. Wednesday night, we're in Riverview at the gazebo on the waterfront, and we have the Dunnet Highland Dancers and Sons of Gale that are going to play for that concert. So both of those start at 7 o'clock. They're both free. They're not long. They're usually wrap up within the hour or so. So don't think at 7:30, I'll meander down. Come for 7 because you don't want to miss it. They'll both be fantastic. And then really the next big thing is Saturday.
Okay.
If you haven't been, I try to describe it to people like 4 simultaneous competitions happening with a whole community fair around them, kind
Yeah.
of wrapping around it, because that's what's happening. And it's massive. We take over 2 ball fields in the parking lot at Hal Betts, which is the ball fields down on Assumption Boulevard here in downtown Moncton. And we have pipe band competition. So in the morning, it's solo competitions for pipers and drummers, and then the bands compete in the afternoon. We have the Highland dance competition, which this is the 2nd year in a row now. We have maxed out. We cannot accommodate more than 125 dancers, and we have
Wow.
that again this year. Then we have our 5K run, which Tosh so kindly has helped us with this year in partnership with Kegs and Legs,
Yeah.
which is your other run that you do. So we have a 5K. If you take part in any of those, you get free entry to the grounds for the competitor. So if you're someone who, maybe you got some kids at home, you can come down in the morning and do the run at 8:30, get your free entry, come back a couple hours later and bring the kids to see all the sights, because 12 and under is free
Right.
entry to
Yeah.
the field for the day. So we also have the heavy events competition happening at the same time, and I'm going to talk some more about those in a second. But then all around that, there's horse and wagon rides, bouncy castles, face painting, and music all afternoon in the Ceilidh tent. And everything is just kind of going on all at the same time. We've got food trucks, we've got craft vendors. It's going to be hopping.
Beer garden.
Yes.
She's failed to mention that there's a concert stage and a beer garden as well. So it is like you can get there, 8:30 in the morning and start things off with the tartan run. And then you can make, like Jenna said, an entire day of it, because there is something you can move around every little bit and then make your way back around and not see the same thing twice.
No, and like I said, we've got fantastic food vendors who've been with us for several years, so you can have your meals on site. You can, if you're going to come, if you're not a competitor, I would say aim to be there by about 9:30, 10 o'clock. Anything before that is really kind of focused on the competitors, and the vendors are just finishing setting up their booths. So by 10 o'clock, the horse and wagon rides start, the bouncy castles are up and running, everything is underway by then. And everything goes until our closing ceremonies, which is at about 5:30.
Okay.
And those are very obvious because we have almost 10 pipe bands who take field 6 all together in a big row. And so you can get to see this spectacle that if you haven't seen mass bands, is just incredible, especially when you have a nice big open space like this to experience it in. And then from 6 till 9, the music continues in the Ceilidh tent, and that is open to everyone. And yeah, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
So many things happening on that field. So I want to go back and talk a little bit about the heavy events, because
Yes.
I kind of jumped over those. Those are the ones that most people know. If they've never been to a Highland Games, they have that image that they've seen of someone, tossing the caber, which is like the big
Telephone
basically-
pole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a huge, massive tree trunk. And the competition involves who can pick it up, run, and throw it.
The furthest.
Yes. And it has to do with how straight
Okay.
it is and how it turns and lands is what
Whoa,
I found out. It's
okay.
not just the ability to get up and run with it. And
Yeah.
it's not how far you run. It has to do with how it lands.
Wow.
And so it's really great. If you come to the event, make sure you take some time to just sit in the bleachers, because we do have the bleachers that exist on the fields plus some extra ones brought in by the city. Take some time to sit and listen at the heavy events, because the team who puts that on and the judges and the announcers are so fantastic at explaining those little details as to what the judges are looking for and what's happening. There's the sheaf toss, which is basically like a big hay bale that they're putting a pitchfork in and seeing who can throw it up the highest. Like, these are feats of strength, are so cool. And what's really special this year is that we are hosting the Canadian Scottish Athletic Federation's Junior Championships for both men and women.
Beautiful.
This is the first time in Canada, and we think perhaps the first time in the world, that a juniors national competition has been split and has had a men's competition and a women's competition.
Really?
It's definitely the first in Canada. We haven't really had anyone come back as we've been looking. No one's really been able to find one that happened anywhere else quite like this either. So it really speaks to the growth that the sport has seen over the last few years. And anyone who remembers back in 2022, we hosted the World Masters. So the World Masters is anyone who's 40 and above. And it was a world competition. So the best heavy event athletes from around the world could put their marks in, and they got an invitation whether or not they were in the top to come. Some of those competitors were amazing, especially the younger women in those sports. And in that sport, they've seen more and more women getting involved, and so they've been creating more and more categories. Instead of just like, oh, any woman who happens to be over 40, you guys all compete together. Now they have age categories, they have lightweight categories, they have much more similar kind of divisions as what they've had in the men's side all along. And that's what we're seeing now with the juniors. And so juniors is basically under 20. So the competitors range from, I think there's a 13-year-old. 13 is the youngest you could be.
Wow.
They're definitely like middle school age athletes up to age 20. And I think technically it's up to age 19, but our oldest competitor turns 20 like the week of.
Yeah. We're gonna let that one slide.
Yes.
I think that's really cool. And actually, I remember earlier in the season when we started talking about this, that they were gonna start doing some training for people in town that might be interested in doing that. Because if you are not from Scotland, or your family is not a part of the Scottish Association, would you ever think of pitching a bale of hay over a bar? No.
No, probably not. But you might be really good at it. And you do not have to have any kind of Scottish roots to take part in this, which I think is what's helping kind of it catch on, right? You know, we had all the CrossFit got very popular and the strongman competitions, and now people are turning to the heavy events, which have happened for centuries, and going, oh, this is another set of competitions similar that I can use these skills. We have a lot of crossover with track and field athletes who do things like discus and, you know, throwing. There's a lot of throwing that's involved, and a lot of times they'll just talk about throwers at the games and they mean the people that are taking part in the heavy events. So yeah, we've our athletic director Brian has done a lot of work over the past, I would say 5 to 10 years, really trying to he does some outreach in some of the schools locally, and on Friday night there is a give it a try kind of amateur competition, and I have to say I feel like I've seen more people reaching out this year than ever before about that one. So if you are interested, you should come down to the field and check it out, and then follow up. And we're not necessarily going to let you walk on the field this year because there's a lot of, you know, safety you want to take into consideration. But was it last year? Yeah, last year we had a competitor from Ontario. He was here with his family, and he had never tried heavy events before. His family had a lot of interest. He came on Friday night to the Give It a Try session. And he was so good that he was extended an invitation to compete, and then competed and actually won some of the categories. Yeah. So you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really fantastic to see some of the youth getting really involved. You know, the Highland dance competition is usually fairly young.
Yeah.
We have, I think our youngest dancer is 4, and we do have a category that's like, has some 20-year-olds in it. So it's a broad range, but it's usually, you know, under 25-year-olds that are in the Highland dance. Bands is really a mix. We usually have I would say it's half and half maybe of, you know, kids who are still in school and adults. And sometimes that's really fun because there are a couple bands where I know it's like parents and their kids are together in the pipe bands, which is amazing. And then heavy events, we haven't had as many young athletes locally. I think it has a lot to do with the pandemic, really, and people being able to get out and compete. But we do have a few standouts in this province. Now, New Brunswick is known around the world for having, you know, when we had the Masters here, it was a lot of New Brunswickers who were winning the categories.
Awesome. I love that.
There's a reason it came here. And might come back, we'll see. Just slide that in there. So with the juniors, it's really neat because I think part of what's happened is that they've been able to grow up seeing this happening in their backyard and seeing young athletes. So we have a couple athletes who have been competing since they've been in high school or are still very young. And one of them is Caitlin Clark, who is our honorary chieftain this year. So it's very much a tradition at any Highland Games to have an honorary chieftain, someone who kind of is the figurehead who presides over everything and is really meant to be a role model or someone that you're honoring from within the community who has done a lot for something within the Scottish culture or, here in New Brunswick in the community. Caitlin was the first woman to win the Champion of the Day award at our heavy events competition.
Cool.
So she started heavy events in 2017. She won that. Then she went on and she's competed, I think it's 4 times now at the national level. She was a judge when we had the Worlds here. So I think seeing people like her, who, she's a young woman, she's a professional, she's just about to get married, she's got a little one. She is such a fantastic role model for these athletes coming up. And I think that's, we're so thrilled that we were able to really showcase the youth that's involved in this, because when you look at the other side of it, in terms of who's organizing things, I feel very confident in saying I am the second youngest person at the table.
Yeah.
I believe there's only one person who is younger than me, and it's not by a whole lot.
Right.
There's a really dedicated group that's been putting this on year after year. But with any organization, when it's the same people putting the time in, it's great because some of the pieces are like, oh yeah, we know what we're doing, but people get tired, people have other things that they need to do. And every organization, every festival, every event needs new people to step up and get involved. And so again, I'm gonna put that push out there. We're looking for new members. And if you're really keen on taking part and helping with parts of things like this festival, there's a lot of room here for growth. And there's a lot of room for some really interesting things to happen. When we had the Masters 2 years ago, you were there, and we did the entire 6 baseball fields.
Yes, it was huge.
We had story times, we had live podcasting, we had workshops, language, so many things that you didn't even have time to get to all of it necessarily. So we'd love to get to the stage where we can do a big, massive event like that again. But it takes a lot of community work and support to put that together. So for now, this year, main focus is Saturday, June 15th.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to take it back for a second. You talking about Caitlin, and the year that the Masters were here so Sarah, my oldest, would have been about 10. And she saw someone, I'm not sure if it was Caitlin or not, but she saw a younger female break a world record. And that was
probably Janine.
It might have been, yeah. And it was the first time that she's been an athlete, but it was the first time she saw another athlete do something so remarkable with her own eyes that she still talks about it every time. Like, is it time for Highland Games yet? Like, she knows it's coming up, it's on the calendar. And she goes, maybe every single year she goes, maybe I'll see someone else break a record. And maybe it'll be her. You know what I mean? Like, this might be something that, like, she is only 12 at the time, but next year she'll be 13.
Next year she can be taking part in the junior competition.
Yeah.
I know there's at least 3 local athletes who are part of the juniors this year. So Kit and Bella McLean and Drake.
This is
Drake
why we have a
Forbes.
book. Yeah.
I want to make sure I get it right. Even our musicians, we have some great young musicians. I was right, Drake Forbes from New Brunswick.
Very good.
And Tyler Clark. So yeah, we have 2 in the men's category and 2 in the women's category who are local. And then, some of our competitors we're looking here, we've got British Columbia, Ontario, Nova Scotia. This is drawing people from all across the country. And yeah, who knows? I don't know if we'll see a world record this year. Could be.
Never know.
Canadian records, probably. Good chance that some will be set and broken. I guess you break it, set it, whatever. I'm obviously not the athlete in this conversation.
They get the point. So you have this beautiful book here,
Yes.
and every year you create one of these beautiful books. Where are people finding them, or can they find them? This is a singular copy. It's Jenna's.
No, there are boxes of these in my garage right now. So if you come to the event, you'll get one as you come in, as long as supplies last. So we have thousands of these to hand out. Yes.
Okay.
It's like hundreds, thousands.
So come early.
Lots.
Again, that's another point. Something that you didn't mention, and it may not be there this year, is the sheep herding coming back?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Right. There's a huge section of this that is very much about agriculture and that part of the tradition. So yes, the sheep will be there. The shearing will happen. The dogs will be around to show you like how you herd sheep. We have, all kinds of, like I said, fabulous musicians, and a lot of our musicians are very young as well. We've got Dahlia Avenue joining us this year, who are just fantastic fantastic. If you haven't seen them, you're going to love them. They're towards the end of the afternoon. So again, if you come kind of during that midday point, make sure you stay until you see them before the closing. And then in the evening, the Shenandoah dancers from Fredericton, they're a Highland dance troupe that do more choreographed work rather than just the competition. So if you're there during the day, the Highland dancers are doing their competition. So it's a lot of repetition. If you're sitting there watching, you're going to see different groups do the fling, and then you're going to see different groups do the sword. Whereas to start off the evening entertainment, we're going to do a little bit more choreography stuff, which is not something we get to see a lot here.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
That is really cool. Okay. All right. So if you haven't marked it on your calendar yet, again, everything gets underway June the 11th. And then the big event that Jenna and I are talking about is on the 15th. What are some other things that are happening there? I'm trying to think of what else I've seen there in the past. What about the carriage rides? The horses are bringing people around like a taxi?
The horses will be there, yes. Yeah, and those are free once you've paid. So like I said, it's $10 entry. Ages 12 and under are free. Once you're there, the horse and wagon rides are part of what you get with your $10 admission. All of that entertainment for the entire day, that's part of your $10. Do bring some money if you can, because there is things like face painting will be extra. Bouncy Castle is covered by us. Food vendors, craft vendors. There's some really great vendors coming that you're going to want to have some ability to share your money around with them. But yeah, you can hop on the buggy ride and kind of just do the loop and get a lay of the land before you go and explore. Blacksmith, David Bell's coming again.
Ooh.
People love the crowd that gathers around him when he's doing that. And we love being able to really kind of showcase those more traditional, artisan craftsman vocations that you can be a working blacksmith in New Brunswick if that's something that appeals to you. And you can come and you can see David working and you can talk to him about what it is he does and see some of the beautiful things he creates. It's just, there are so many things that you really do need to come and spend some time. One thing I will say, if you're coming, it's going to be very busy downtown. If you haven't been downtown lately at all, it's very busy downtown this year. We're going to be even busier that weekend because this is happening. And if you watch and listen to the show all the time, you know that's also the same date as the Ride Against Cancer happening down on the trails, which is part of the reason that we're doing our run at 8:30 in the morning. But again, it's going to be a hot day, so the runners aren't complaining.
Not at all. Not at all.
But it is going to be very busy. And the way we're set up, we use that parking lot space that usually is between the ball fields as part of the venue. So you're going to want to find parking or you're going to want to get dropped off. We do have two entrances though. So there's the main kind of entrance to Hal Betts Field is what everyone's kind of familiar with and what your GPS is going to tell you to go towards. I'm going to tell you that you want to look at parking at the city lots downtown and then walking the trail system and coming through what we call the East Gate.
Right.
So we have two gates set up. We have bike racks on site from the city. So it's very accessible. If you're someone who has the capacity to just come walking or biking, I would suggest you do that. If you have to drive, make sure you give yourself some time and just mentally prepare, just like you should coming downtown at any point. You're going to have to kind of work your way around to find a parking spot, and then best solution there is to use the trail system because walking along Assumption is not really what I would recommend for anyone, for any day.
Any time of day. Yes, that is correct. Our tartan run, I want to touch on that for just a minute. Like you said, we've moved it to 8:30 in the morning. It's a really cheap sign up. It's only $25 to do the run and you get a medal at the end of it and entry to the event for the rest of the day. So it's a really, really great deal. And I have left registration open to the 14th, I think. I think you can sign up right until the day before. Your race kit pickup will be the Thursday night before the run. So you could just come and get your race bib from me. I'll be at the running room in downtown Moncton. And if you sign up for the tartan run, I'm going to give you $10 off of my Kegs and Legs run that happens in September. And that is a beer run that I do in Riverview. So message me, we'll chat, and we'll get running.
Yeah. And it's a fun run. You get a bib, but it's not like, go for your personal best, fine. But if you just want to kind of take a nice 5K stroll in the morning, we're all there for it.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Thank you all. Thank you, Tosh, for helping out and for letting me yammer on about this event because it's super fun. If anyone's looking, you can buy your tickets in advance. They're through ShowPass, which you'll find the link to from our site, which is monctonhighlandgames.com. All the information is there. You can also just pay at the gate on Saturday.
Perfect. Well, I'll see you there.
I hope we'll see lots of people. We usually see thousands of people.
That's right.
So come on out,
Yes.
join the crowd.
We'll see you next week.